Oh my gosh, trying to get a video done in this house is insane. I got so many distractions in here. But we are back with a good sports photo conversation here. This is the second episode. You can check the first one, which is kind of my first video, and I don't think this one's going to be too much better, but the other one was just kind of like, oh, here it's me, and just explaining that's my first video. But there was some good points on it, as always. Okay, so I don't talk about specifics of camera equipment too much, or what other people do. The only thing I'm an expert on what I do, and I'm somewhat of an expert on the specific equipment that I use. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. I don't know. I mean, I can make a bunch of guesses on other stuff and kind of vaguely go off on other stuff, but I can talk about what I got and what I do in regards to sports photos. So when I go, what is a good photo? Okay, so if you have a top of the line first flagship camera body, flagship lens, everything that is mentioned in numerous other sports photo YouTube videos. Yes, those are all, they're not misleading you. I mean, they're telling you everything that you should be doing if you have that top of the line equipment. Absolutely. And you will get the results that they put on there. As far as I can see, I don't see anybody like really lying or anything like that. I'm just saying, if you have all that equipment, that would put you in a great position to be a photojournalist for sports, a sports photojournalist. As in, what you don't do anything with your card, you don't do anything with your pictures except for just pass them on to somebody else, and they do the rest. They do whatever they want to do in Photoshop or whatever to them. But usually it's not much. That's why you have that very expensive equipment, is because they need quick results. They need to take it from the camera and put it live on air sometimes, you know what I mean? Or take it from the camera in that night, have them up for sale or on their website or whatever the case may be. So they gotta have fast turnaround. You can't do Photoshop like that. It'd be very difficult, and it's just not even it's not even what they want. Like, it's not even what is done. So like, it's not even really anything. If anything, it's just converting the file types over to whatever it is that they're going to use and sizing it or cropping it or whatever. But you got to realize, especially if you're new to photography, there are photography purists, I guess you could say, people that just enjoy exactly what comes out of the camera, and they like pictures that have no editing done to them whatsoever, very, very minimal photos. Like, and that's what you need for a photojournalist. If you're taking pictures in overseas or on assignment or something like that, they're not going to want you to. I can't speak to that, but it's a lot of photojournalistic photos where they're unedited and stuff like that. And for that case, you've got a lot of competition, and everybody's got the bells and whistles. So you need to have the bells and whistles. It's very easy to see that you would definitely sink in a photojournalist working for somebody else, passing on images right out of your camera, or selling pictures right out of your camera. Very little Photoshopped anything. Okay, we've covered that. So is that a good photo even at all? What is that going to get you? That's going to get you zoomed in, super close, super tight action. It's going to get you a lot of detail, really low noise, and just sharp, completely sharp, tack sharp. The potential to do that. It's not even guaranteeing that it's going to do that. You have to have some skill to be able to do that. There is skill involved in doing that, and luck. And I heard some photographers mention that every once in a while. Tons of luck. It's a good portion of it is luck, but it's everything that they say too is preparation and knowing that it is lucky. So you have to be ready to go. But anyway, that's probably a lot further down the line. Everything anyway. But that gets you a tack sharp photo, perfectly exposed right out of the camera, and that means like no eyelids. 1/600th of a second is like eyelashes are perfectly sharp, and sweat, not a single drop of sweat is blurred. It's perfectly shot, frozen in time. which is pretty dope. Like those are good photos. But not all the photos. Like I don't have that expectation for all the photos, and that is just, you have the ability to do that. So that is something that sets you apart from a beginner DSLR. You cannot, no matter what you do, take the pictures that a top of the line flagship setup can do. But is it even necessary, and for one, and is it even good for two? Are they producing good photos? Are they producing like 5 good photos out of 300 for an event? Are they looking for one photo? Do they just need one photo? Lots of times they just need one photo. You just need one photo to make a cover, or you just need one photo to make a spread. So it doesn't matter what the other 300, the other 1,000, the other 2,000 photos that you took. You're just trying to get that one, that lucky shot. You know what I'm saying? So for me, when I go to a sporting event, I'm trying to sell to each individual and or their parents, family member, their gym, somebody. I'm trying to sell to somebody, and each individual player is a potential sell. So you want to have enough of each player in action doing whatever to be able to sell as much as you can, right? That's the theory and everything. That's the approach that I go with. So that is a lot of shots. That's well over 1,000 at just about every event. If you're at a boxing event, a 3-round amateur event, that's 300 photos, like easily 100 photos for every round, unless it's just a real slow fight. But they're usually not an amateur. Usually it's bang 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 bang, and little kids are even faster. They're just wailing until they pass out. Like so that's just a lot of shots, and you hope you get something in there. It's a lot of luck. There's skill to it, but there is a ton of luck in it. So I'm shooting a large quantity. I don't like to switch cameras. In boxing, I'll switch cameras round to round, but in the middle of action, I don't like to switch cameras like at all. I can't really think, unless the sun's setting over the stadium or something like that, or something has to happen where like it would make me want to do that. I just don't like to do it per se. It's just kind of cumbersome and whatever, and lead to missing stuff or whatever. So I just don't even do that. I got a lens that's a Nikon. I don't have it up here. I was going to show it to you guys, but it's above a beginner grade, but it's only f4, constant f4, 24 to 120. It used to be a nice lens. It used to be Nikon's good lens. Some years back or whatever. I got it on Craigslist for $800. So I would say that's not a beginner lens, even though it's definitely not what's current and the best of what's current. And I don't even hear anybody mentioning that focal range either, but it works perfect for basketball. It works great for boxing, but the f4 isn't enough for me in a lot of situations, especially amateur. But in a pro boxing event, f4 is just fine. No problem. And it also helps you, especially in boxing, where you tend to get close to the athletes. Like that 2.8 really limits what is in focus. So it could be tack sharp, but it could be out of focus too, because they're moving so fast. And even if you're definitely different types of autofocus and spot focusing and stuff like that, still like you just narrowed your odds. You really want more. You want a larger aperture, well, a smaller aperture, higher number aperture, to help you get a better chance of getting a sharp shot on what you're trying to focus on. So having a 2.8 lens isn't even always super ideal. It's pretty ideal. I'm kind of a hater, but I use 1.8. I even shoot with prime lenses in boxing with 1.8. And I shoot 1.8, and I don't really have a problem. I've gotten to where I feel like I know what I'm doing and I can do it. And especially once it gets out of a certain range, then everything's in focus anyway, so it's just a matter of how much light's getting into the camera. That may not be technically 100% true, but I'm not here to talk technical. I'm just telling you what I do and my results. Everything that I shoot that you see is intended to be a poster, 24 by 36. So that definitely means if there's noise, which there is noise in my photos, it's going to be very visible in a poster. Like There's definitely enough noise that I can't crop I can't really expand within the crop of 20, within the size of 24 by 36. It's kind of got to be the full frame. I make that into the picture. If I try to pull much, bring anything forward or expand anything, usually at the ISO range that I'm at for indoor sports, especially in night sports, I can't really get away with that. And I've tried it a few times and I got away with it, sorta. It kind of wasn't really exactly what I didn't particularly like it, but I guess I got away with it, and it looked good from a good enough distance or whatever. Which some people might be furious with that and bad no likey, bad comment, blah blah blah. But so I make posters and highly edited, so noise is greatly reduced, and the way you can Photoshop things with shadows and highlights, and I just saw some of them, sometimes if blacks get real spotty and noisy and I don't like that, you can go back. It just depends on how much detail you want to put into each photo. If it's just one of 50 photos that I gave to a family, I'm not going into that specific photo to really reduce the noise. Like if there's noise, and even if it's beyond what I even think is tolerable or whatever, like it's usually way okay for the whoever's receiving it. And if it's not a specific photo that's really good, then I'm not really even worried about it. And that definitely happens. You've got beginner equipment, you're just gonna have to deal with that. But if you on a one specific picture, like when I do a poster, like I can go in and pretty much take out quite a bit, and to where it definitely rivals what the flagship setup will do straight out of the camera. So I mean, you paid for that. You paid for photos that come out without the need of photoshopping in a lot of cases. But man, from what I've seen of photos, and I do look at photos taken with other equipment, and comparing it to mine, there's definitely situations where I'm like, wow, that is a lot better than what I can get, maybe even after photoshopping. So you got to consider that. But once again, I take pictures. I make posters 24 by 36. Like that's what I like to do. I like to do posters that big for people, and so I couldn't do it with terrible noisy photos. I couldn't do it consciously. But I use all amateur equipment. So people saying that this video is coming to a close at about 13 minutes and something, so we're about done. But when you hear a professional photographer say that you can't do a good sports photo less than 1/600th of a second shutter speed, none of these photos that I'm showing are over 1/400th of a second. None of them. I don't shoot boxing, which is fast punching. I don't shoot boxing and little kids just moving around frantically. I don't even shoot that. Sometimes I'll shoot a whole boxing event at 1/160th of a second. That's how poor the lighting is. And there is a ton of blur in the shots, but you got to learn how to focus what part has to be in focus and the blur around it, like to make it work. So there is a ton more to it than just getting photojournalistic quality photos from a sports event. It's a topic in a conversation that's, try to get it in the frame. It's a topic in a conversation like this, and that's this. And it does give you the ability to get photos that you cannot get with other camera setups. But what does that really even mean? You know what I'm saying? So start to think about that and don't get discouraged, because you can make great artistic sports photos that kids will love, that you can make into huge posters and badass, look like marketing just type stuff. So we're going to talk more. Thanks for tuning in.